Let us look at the problem posed by Fulani militants in Nigeria, and let us equally juxtapose it with the position of Sheikh Gumi, who have obviously become an advocate of bandits. Only a few days ago, we saw the disaliving of over 50 persons in Katsina State. I must say this is unacceptable, and the three tiers of government must synergize to protect lives and property. Because for me, life is sacrosanct. As we have it, the Constitution says the welfare of the people and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. That is Section 14, subsection 2B of 1999 Constitution as amended. But the point here is the lives of Toji Bello, the lives of Ada Aleru. Of course, we understand that both of them operate in the axis of Katsina and Zamfara State. I must say that there is no peace for the wicked, and they will not have peace, because the problem, the traumatization they are bringing to people, it is unacceptable. At this point, I decree that their days are numbered. Talking about Ada Aleru, talking about the Toji Bello, and any other bandit leader or any other bandit in that environment, that they must be neutralized in the battlefield. They must be either taken out in the battlefield or arrested and prosecuted to act as deterrent to others. Because if you look at what is coming from Sheikh Gumi in recent time, you begin to wonder, are we actually in the country? This is a man who, of course, Saudi government deported the other time. And you have a man of this nature telling the world that he do go with government officials, with police, to negotiate with bandits. So for me, there is nothing like negotiation. They should be arrested, they should be prosecuted, or they should be taken out in the battlefield. Because to negotiate with the likes of Toji Bello, to negotiate with the likes of Ada Aleru, or any other bandit leader for that matter, it means you are saying that the life of Nigerians who are dying in their number as a result of their nefarious activities have no value. So my own issue, my own position is take them out in the battlefield or arrest them and prosecute them, whichever one comes first. I think I totally go with the position of the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, who said that bandits do not repent. That the only bandit that have repented is the one that have died. That his own option, his own ideology is to disalive them, send them to their creator who have the ultimate power to judge them. I think that is my own position, because the ideology of Sheikh Gumi is exposing Nigerian state to a weak state. How can you be negotiating with bandits, for bandits, and you are advocating amnesty for bandits? It beat all imagination where as someone who is as civilized as Sheikh Gumi would be negotiating or initiating, asking for amnesty for bandits. Even using the situation of Niger Delta militants to compare the bandits in terms of amnesty. We understand that when Niger Delta militants received amnesty, it was the federal government under Yaradua. And we know that what the people in the Niger Delta are fighting for is quite different from what the bandits are looking for. Because the people in the creeks of Niger Delta, they were agitating for a better environment. We know the impact of oil exploration, the harsh vocation by the locals in the environment where oil exploration takes place. And this is what the people who fought for resource control in the creeks, this is what they did. So you cannot start comparing it with banditry. Banditry, for me, bandits should be neutralized, taken out in the battlefield. Because even in the time of Muhammadu Buhari made it very clear that these are foreigners who come all the way from Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and they find their way into Nigeria. Of course, he was having conversation with the then President of America, yes, Donald Trump, in his first administration, where he made it very clear that these are people who came out from Mali, that the only experience they had is how to shoot gun. And that they left there into Nigeria, and of course, that they are wreaking havoc. So having listened to Buhari himself in the time past, making it clear that these bandits come all the way from Burkina Faso, Niger, even at times war-torn area of Libya. So the question now is, who is Sheikh Gumi asking amnesty for? Foreigners? Fulani who that come from different parts of the world? So it does go to say that people will just wake up in the morning and start coming all the way from Burkina Faso, from Niger, from Mali, and start converging in Nigeria and start looking for amnesty. Let us not even forget that in the time past, under Muhammadu Buhari, there was equally an allegation that the government reportedly paid Mietiala 100 billion naira to stop killing or to stem the tide of killing. Though then the government denied it, and even the Mietiala denied it, but it's all over the media space. But the question is, why should somebody be talking about amnesty for criminals, common criminals? I think what the government need to do is simple. The government need to possess monopoly of coercive power to police every inch of Nigerian territorial integrity. Because, as far as I'm concerned, bandits do not deserve to live. Bandits, because the rate at which they disalive Nigerians, the rate at which they kill people, they must not continue to exist. They must be taken out in the battlefield. That is why at times you don't even have to question those who agitate for their own sovereign states. Because it is unimaginable seeing that in some places, in some part of the country, people life do not have value, and people now live at the mercy of these bandits. So for me, I think somebody should be bold enough to tell the Sheikh Gumi and his likes that they must rescind from that their opinion of seeking for amnesty for bandits is unacceptable by all standards. Then let us equally look at another perspective of Sheikh Gumi, who have consistently maintained that he said he insists on amnesty for bandits. And his reason, he's saying that the government is radicalizing bandits. You begin to wonder, because his argument is that the offensive against the bandits is making them harder and the government is pushing them to the war. I think it is a fallacy. Because somebody who have decided to take up arms against the states, against the sovereign state of Nigeria, without justification, have no excuse. The government or any individual have no excuse to start advocating for amnesty for them. And more so, as these people are not from this part of the country. Let me even take a cue from the statement that came from the Zamfara State governor recently, who made it very clear that these are people who, of course, they can know and trace where they come from. Meaning, most of them are not strangers. This brings me to issue of failure of leadership in the northern part of the country. Because by the time you give birth to children, you allow them to grow in the wild without parental care, without societal care, definitely you are breeding potential Boko Haram. You are breeding potential ISWAP members. You are breeding potential bandit members. Because time and again, psychology have proven that the brain of the newly born child is a tabula rasa, a clean slate. On which the critical writes anything he or she wishes to write. So by the time you are the parents, the guardian, the society refuse to write the norms of the society to the brain of the child, the bandits, the criminals, Boko Haram, ISWAP, will help you to write their own value system. And I think that's the consequence of what we are facing in the northern part of the country. Because a quick look at the statistics that are shown on the screen in terms of percentage of out-of-school children in the north shows that actually a larger percentage of what we are seeing in the north is inability or the refusal of northern leaders to train the northern children in school, to put them in school. And it's quite disappointing that we currently hear northern leaders blaming federal government for the out-of-school children in the north. Because we understand that under universal basic education, the responsibility of training the Nigerian child rests in the three chairs of government: the federal, the state, and the local government. However, what behoves of federal government to do is the policy direction and the funding. And this is a shoulder on behalf of all the 36 states, whether the southern state, the northern state, it is the same thing they shoulder for everyone, each and every state. Now the question is, why is it that we are not seeing the same level of out-of-school children in the north as, why is it that we are not seeing the same level of out-of-school children in the north in the south? Why is it predominant in the north? It's going to show that there is a failure of leadership. There is a conscious effort from the leaders in the north not to educate the children and make them be willing to for subjugation. And this have now become a problem for everybody. Because the money that is being used to fight insurgency, to fight banditry, to fight terrorism would have been plugged into other areas of human endeavor in this country. Because infrastructure is begging for attention. Healthcare is begging for attention. And you can now address all of this without first of all dealing with the issue of insecurity. We have seen mass exodus of our best hands in almost every area of field of human endeavor. Of course, I think the medical profession is the worst hit. And the only way you can stem the tide is to address the root cause. Okay, if you even look at what Jonathan did for the North in his time as a president, how he was building an Almajiri school everywhere. One would have expected that the northern leaders would have applauded him, and of course would have taken a cue from there to start educating their children. But unfortunately, they never saw any good thing in that, and they jettisoned the idea shortly after Ibuari took over government. So we're going to show that the northern leaders are not interested in the well-being and the welfare of the downtrodden, of the common man in the society. You're going to show that their ultimate aim is to subjugate and use those commoners. Because otherwise, there's no justification behind having out-of-school children in a state up to 60-something%, in some cases 50-something%, in some cases 40-something%, in some cases 30-something%, in some cases 20-something%. You begin to wonder, why do we have this? And again, if you even look at what a Jonathan achieved, the feat he achieved in terms of fighting insecurity, particularly Boko Haram. Specifically, the period election was postponed for 2 weeks in 2015. Because this is a testimony of a former House of Assembly member from Borno State, who made it very clear that Boko Haram, Nigeria was already defeated Boko Haram in 2015, before a Buhari government came on board. That the machineries a Jonathan government brought in were doing excellently well until a Buhari government came in and jettisoned the idea, sent the packing. The same Sheikh Gumi, who is now criticizing federal government for reportedly bringing Mossad agents into Nigeria, cannot provide solution to solve Nigerian security problem. The only solution they have is to negotiate for bandits, is to ask for amnesty on behalf of bandits, is to ask government to stop bombing bandits. So for me, I think Sheikh Gumi must answer some level of questions in Nigeria. Because I must say all this is unacceptable. But let me say very thankful for your time. This is Salam and I'm so much.